YSP staff, this is Audi doing a quick recap of the team meeting on Friday, October 2nd. I forgot to hit the record button, and so this is my way of making up for that. So we began by talking about what's coming up. For our seminars, we are very likely going to be continuing with our course planning for the 10th and 11th graders. For 11th graders, we'll also be hitting up this idea of how scholars can reach out to recommenders. So whether it be their counselors, their teachers, coaches, mentors, and to kind of go along with that in study groups, we're going to start teaching them how to draft email messages or messages, especially around requests. So whether it's requesting for a letter of recommendation or requesting for a schedule change, we definitely notice sometimes our scholars, they would just make a quick request like, oh, please switch me to this group, and then the end. And that's not necessarily the most effective request, right? You want to try to convince the other party why it's in the best interest of both parties that this request be made. For coaching will start next week, one-on-one coaching for the month of October. And during the coaching session, the coaches will be checking grades, seeing if tutoring is required for the scholar, and then we'll do some goal setting around programming. So whether it's how can they improve their attendance, being on time, actually showing up, or it could be around how to better engage the program. And then as of next week, we definitely want to see if we can get everyone to sign up for growth mindset workshops. So this only applies for coaches. We definitely want everyone to send out email confirmation. So I've given out email templates in terms of confirming schedules. So definitely use that to your advantage. So make sure you send an email confirmation for all scholars that you've scheduled a one-on-one coaching session with. In addition, you want to add a day and time of your sessions to the Airtable roster. So I've added a third column now. So there are two columns, one that shows their seminar day and time, as well as their study group day and time. And then right next to that will be a coaching day and time. So please add your days and times in there. So that way, I'll transfer it over to the attendance for the week. And for scholars that don't have a session with you for that week, then I'll mark it as no meeting for you. And then any empty spaces left, you need to make sure you put down a yes, a verified, or no meeting in case you did cancel on your end. And as we talked about, you can be setting goals around program attendance or engagement. And just to make sure we're on the same page, this is a roster. You're going to put down your day and time in there. Just like our first week of coaching, you'll just put like Friday, October 2nd at 2 p.m. And then I'll look at it for the week. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the October attendance. And so if the scholar has coaching for the 5th, then this will be blank for you to fill out. If they're not scheduled to have a coaching session with you for that week, I will mark no meeting for you. Next, we went through an attendance check. And so it's just making sure that, once again, our attendance needs to look complete by Friday at the very latest. Okay. In fact, I think most of our sessions end by Thursday. So by Friday, it should be very complete. And this is a team effort. I do expect everyone, if you notice there's something wrong on that sheet, like you notice verified attendance, but with no note attached, then I do expect it is your responsibility to notify your team member, so your grade level team member, and ask around and see, hey, whoever marked verified, make sure, don't forget to put down a note. Okay, that is your responsibility. So again, the goal is not to identify who messed up. The goal is to make sure we have a complete attendance by Friday. Okay, then we reviewed how to create a more consistent work routine. I went through this before, so once again, when you first start your shift, please make sure you're checking announcements and updates in Slack and taking action, right? So you read it, acknowledge it with the emoji, and take any action that requires immediate attention. Check your YSP email in case I do include you on anything that's important, or maybe a scholar did send you an email. And then you should browse through the Slack messages to see if there are anything that you need to be aware of, especially if someone has tagged you. And most likely that's going to be from me for anything that's important. Now, usually with schedule changes, I would send them a confirmation email and I would include you in on that email. So if you check the email, then you should know anyone new that's going to be in your session, or if someone has to move out of your session, either for the week or permanently. Then you should plan for your session for the very first time. If it's the first time you're planning for your curriculum, I would say you should take or aim to take about an hour. Okay, and I know that may be a little bit difficult right now because you're kind of getting used to how things work, but really try to make a goal to do it in an hour. And if you think about it, you're not planning for that much, right? Because a lot of your session stuff are kind of consistent and the same. So like the check-in questions, the feeling questions, it could be like checking on goals, class shoutouts. Those are all very pretty much consistent, right? And so really the thing that you're planning for is that main topic for the day. Like what are you teaching for the day? And I truly believe that if you take an hour to study, prepare for anything they do need to prepare for, you should be able to get that down in an hour. Okay, and if you are having a hard time with that, I'm happy to kind of work with you to do an audit with you to see, how do you go about planning your lesson, and let's see how we can get more effective and more efficient. And of course, once you're preparing for the session, make sure you have all your tabs open, you have your links ready to go, and then join the Zoom session 10 minutes before you are ready to go. After the session, make sure you check in with any scholars that you need to have a talk with. If they were late, if you had some sort of problems with their participation during the session, so they had their cameras off, they weren't responding quite often, they look disengaged, have those conversations with white scholars, and not in a accusatory way, like how dare you come late to my session, but really try to figure out what is going on, and again, share with them what you want. Why do you want them to participate? Why do you want them to be on time? What's the need on your end? And how, again, this is you and them working together to build a better relationship, and also for them to really get something out of coming to these sessions. And then you're going to take care of absences using 2 times CSET. You input the hours and notes into time station Airtable attendance. And then ideally, I would ask you to do a final check for any updates in Slack. And then right before you finish your shift, put your hours on the timesheet. And so in talking about hours, if you don't know, our budget for the program year was cut pretty significantly this year. And so it has been very difficult to figure out how do we operate a program with such a limited budget, even though we really want to try to emphasize relationship building, and that requires a lot of one-on-one time with scholars. And so I've mapped out these hours that I think are doable for each of the roles in the program. And so here's some tips. I want to say that, again, that 1 hour prep for the week for that lesson that you have to do, whether it's study group or it's a seminar. And then every day for your shift, I would say probably 30 minutes-ish for mini prepping, setting up all the tabs, preparing all the links, doing CSET, checking with scholars afterwards. I would say that can be dropped to about 30 minutes. And then so then for facilitators, so that means the folks running seminars, you'll be working about 7 to 8 hours a week. Coaches, if you're running the entire coaching on your own for the grade level, you would probably be doing about 14 to 15 hours. And then depending on how many study groups out of the week that you're doing, it's probably not going to be a straight half-half split, right? I think it's usually going to be like 40-60. Okay, so depending on that, you'll do your own percentages out of the 14, 15 hours. And then just some quick reminders, wording matters a lot. So using Y Scholars versus student, make sure, and I think most people have been doing a pretty good job saying seminars, workshops, study groups. That is very important. I think I've heard some questions from scholars in terms of, oh, when is this happening? When is that happening? And so I think hopefully you can see that the reason why I wanted you to learn how to speak Y Scholars is so vital in kind of knowing the ins and outs of the program, so you can answer those questions and answer them accurately. I know that we still have some scholars doing some texting or DMs once in a while. And so one is I don't want you to not answer them and ignore them or just shut them down. I think you should still respond to whatever their question is, but keep reminding them, hey, please use a private channel in Slack moving forward. And last two things, please over communicate. That's really the best way for me to know what's going on out there. Unfortunately, I don't have quite as much capacity as I used to in terms of, coming in, checking things out to make sure I kind of have a good idea of what's happening out in the field. So the more that you come to me and give me a heads up or, take me to your world, that's really going to help me out. And lastly, 2 times CSET is very important. Don't forget the email confirmations for the parents, guardians, and me. That gives all parties an idea of what's happening. We ended on the growth mindset workshops. And so how we are setting this up right now is you are paired up with a partner. And so we have Jasmine and Nat, Anae and Dom, America and Elaine. And so each pair will pick one topic that either you feel confident and competent to be creating a workshop around, or just a topic that the both of you are excited to share with our scholars. And remember, the point of these workshops, it's really one, it's outside of college talk. It's something that you're probably going through, right, in terms of becoming an adult. So these important life skills that you wish someone had given you more info or helped you better prepare yourself as you become more independent, right? So how do you identify stress? How do you manage your stress, especially in college? How do you find a place of belonging in college? Ideally, a positive, healthy place of belonging. How do you pay for bills? How do you save money wisely? So these are all very important skills that we know is part of growing into an adult, and they very likely don't teach you in high school. And so you and your partner are going to meet up and identify that topic that you're going to do. And again, I think there's a lot. Okay, so hopefully, again, just pick one. We got many months to go that you can do other workshops later on. You're going to pick one to work on together, to present together. Again, the workshop should be around between, I would say, an hour to an hour 15. And it's meant to be highly engaging. A lot of kind of contributions and sharings from the scholars end. Okay, you don't want to just present, and then the end. Okay, try to figure out how to get them engaged and have even just having a talk could be very interesting. So please identify your topic by Monday. Figure out if there are 2 dates and times to run your session. So we're going to run each workshop twice. So then that will be at least 6. I will probably run one as well. So that's 7. And Jose may run one to make it 8 for the month of October. Okay. And so if I can get everybody's dates and times by the end of Monday, then I can publish a calendar starting Tuesday, and we can start signing scholars up for the month on Tuesday. Each session will probably be capped at around, I would say, 12 to 13 scholars. And so once that's filled up, they have to pick one of the other ones. Okay, and on top of that, scholars can attend more than one if they feel compelled and are actually interested. And I think that's what I would love to see, is to make this into something that the scholars really enjoy as an additional element of the White Scholars Program. So hopefully we can build towards that model. In terms of the best days and times for your workshops, I would say we can start as early as this upcoming Saturday. So that will be the 10th. And of course, the last date will be the end of the month, so the 31st. Best days would be Monday and Friday, I would say, because those are the days where we don't have a lot of seminars and study groups to conflict. So that means you have a lot more time availability. And if you want to do it Tuesday to Thursday, then I would say probably more in the evening or early afternoon. So I would say like between 2 to 4. Wednesday is definitely our busiest day in terms of seminars and study groups, so I probably would not do a session then. And then in terms of times, like I said, I think evenings is possible. Weekends are also possible as well. And I think that's about it.